Hi everybody, I'm Jim Skelly and this is the Global Conversation. This is the 11th and final mini lecture of the current semester. I have a couple of things to talk to you about. One is to alert you to the fact that we posted the final essay assignment at the top of the course homepage. Take a look at that. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. It's not unlike the midterm essay in that it asks you to integrate a variety of information. The other thing, of course, is to talk to you about the presentations. I can see from my own review of the discussions around the study circles that it seems like everybody's getting close to completion. I guess you all realize that they're due on Tuesday, so I hope all goes well and you're able to get them in to us. You can post them as long as you can tell us how to get to that site, but you can post them at the bottom of your study circle discussions, or you can send them either to me or to Ray Haggerty or Sadie Lutmer. Please do, if you're having any trouble completing them, please do let us know. We have, as you've all noticed, I think, had some difficulties with free riders. And it's just like real life. You know, they just won't pay attention to the problems we're facing. But to those of you, I've seen that a number of you have done a great deal of work. So all the best for that, huh? A couple of things to point out to you. One is a very interesting article at China Dialogue, which I find worrying, actually. And that is, it's the story of BP. BP is the big energy company that had a great deal of responsibility for the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. And one of the things that this is just last week, this article came out. BP, you know, for many years, it was known originally as British Petroleum. And then they spent, I guess, hundreds of millions of dollars rebranding themselves. BP, they told everybody, stood for Beyond Petroleum, right? The alternative energies, etc. And unfortunately for BP, the oil spill reminded everybody that their principal business was still oil. The problem now, however, is that they apparently have sold off a lot of their renewable energy businesses, water, wind, solar, and biomass. It's terrible, actually. Let's see if I can give you a few. They've already suffered $42 billion in costs and fines from the Gulf of Mexico disaster in 2010, and some analysts say that the final cost to BP could be $100 billion. You know, we've talked a bit about the problem of the assets that they have and whether they're overpriced. I said a bit about this last week. It is something to keep your eyes on, but it is a shame that they seem to be selling off what amounts to about $7 billion in renewable energy assets. So, you know, that's something to be concerned about. And it seems, I'll send you a link to the article, but it seems that, you know, this is not just BP that's doing this. There are other companies, too, which are just going back to basics, which isn't good for carbon emissions, needless to say. Now, the most important thing I wanted to talk with you about today, because it's a horrific example of something we've talked about a lot in this class, and that is the externalization of costs. I suppose most of you saw some news, at least, about the horrific disaster in Dhaka, Bangladesh last week, and that was the collapse of a factory in which very low-priced T-shirts are made and sold in many of the countries that we inhabit. Here in the United States, where I'm broadcasting from, the big company that sells T-shirts for very little money, T-shirts and other kinds of shirts, is Walmart. And Walmart increasingly has a global presence. Now, Walmart apparently was sourcing clothing from the factory which collapsed last week and resulted in the deaths of at least 300 people. They're still finding bodies, and the death toll could go much higher. Reports today say that there's a fire in the ruins, which isn't going to be good for any survivors who may still be hoping to be rescued. One of the things to note, however, and to come back to one of the themes of this course, and that is that making clothing in unsafe factories saves the producers of that clothing, the companies that produce them, money, right? Since they don't have to attend to the unsafe conditions, they can sell the clothing for less. They don't have to pay money to make it a safe place to work. And the consequence of this is occasionally some disaster occurs. In this case, hundreds of people have died so that companies can sell us cheap clothing, right? We need a fair trade system, and I'm going to send you an article about that, but I want to send you something else as well. Now, this happened just last week, and last autumn, there was a factory fire in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, in which 112 garment workers perished. Now, what we've also found out at the time is that the New York Times, the newspaper that many people feel is the newspaper of record in the United States, found documents photographed by a Bangladeshi labor organizer after the fire in which 112 people were killed. And in it, two Walmart officials who attended a meeting in 2011 to discuss factory safety, it was one Walmart official, played a leading role in blocking an effort to have global retailers, like Walmart, pay more for apparel, clothing, to help Bangladesh factories improve their electrical and fire safety. The meeting was held in April 2011, 2 years ago. And then just a few months ago, last autumn, a fire killed 112 people in a factory where Walmart and other retailers purchased clothing that is sold to you very inexpensively. Let's hope it's inexpensive. My God. So it's externalization of cost. And what happened just a few days ago? Again, a company selling to Walmart, Primark in the UK, and other low-price retailers of clothing. We need a fair trade system, just like we have fair trade for coffee. We don't want to buy things at low prices because of the exploitation of people in these kinds of production facilities. It has to change. We can't continue to have this happen. So one of the things I'm going to recommend to students here is that they ask Walmart about this. I'll send you copies of the documents as they were produced in the New York Times, and I'll send you a link to various articles. But it's a vivid example. Let me emphasize this once again. People are not paying the full price of things. Those of you who saw Annie Leonard's video, The Story of Stuff, she wondered how she could buy a little radio so inexpensively. And the way she understood it ultimately was that the costs were externalized to the people in the factory in one way or another. Either they're paid very little. The minimum wage in Bangladesh for, I think it's a week's work, is about $37. Not very much in the scheme of things, that's for sure. So you want to take a serious look at this and don't hesitate to act. Go to, if you're able to, either go to a Walmart store or go, if you're in another country where they sell this clothing through Primark, check it out. Ask them questions, right? People need to take moral responsibility, and they need to also be economically responsible as well. That's all I have. I hope you'll be in touch. It's been a very good semester with all of you, and I hope I see some of you at least again next year. If any of you are interested in still participating in the course next year on an auditing basis, or in some cases as a teaching assistant, please get in touch with me, Ray, or Sadie. We really like to keep building the community around the global conversation. All the best, and thanks for a great semester.